Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Recap in the Past, the How I Met Your Mother edition. As usual, I am boats. I mean soda, and I'm joined by the Blitz himself, Ben Rayner. Oh man, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Good day today.
Good, yeah, good. And you were teasing it with me in the chat, in our private chat today. This is going to be a fun season to talk about. This
Hell
is.
yeah.
Would you say this is How I Met Your Mother at its peak?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is easily the best season, in my opinion, and it sounds like yours as well. And also, when it comes to character growth, for one, Barney Stinson, I think it is his most important season to date.
And I think we're also introduced to the best love of Ted's life, other than the mother and other than Robin.
You think Zoe is better than Victoria?
I like her better than Victoria.
Fair point. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I like her much better than
really?
Stella. Yeah.
Yeah, I think out of all the main multi-episode girlfriends, I'd say Stella probably is at the bottom. She was good, but yeah, I think out of all of them.
No, when she left, this is a conversation about. That's not honestly gone true.
It felt very sudden.
Yeah. Meaning kind of a bitch. But
yeah, it maybe was written like that way the whole time, but yeah, it did kind of feel like out of nowhere. But that's from a past season. So yeah, no, this season, man, we got a lot of major life moments. That not only were the laughs there, but this is probably the most gut punching emotional season that out of all 9 seasons, I would say.
And it's not even this season. And it's not the tradition of bookmarking each of the seasons.
Yes.
Up until the last one. Although they don't clear out after being reviewed more and more.
Yeah, so with this one, basically the first thing we see in the season is we see Marshall. I'm not going to spoil it. Don't worry, Ben. But you see Marshall and Ted sitting outside on a bench talking about how far they have come as a group. Lily comes out of the church, say, "Hey, the best man needs you," and then that's all you get.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And then at the very end of the season, you get a little more. Beginning of next season, you get a little more. Beginning at the end of that season, you get a little more.
And here it's revealed in the final season.
Until it's revealed at the beginning of 8th. No, it's revealed at the beginning of the 8th season. By that point, you've got who the groom is, you've got who the bride is.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let's just hop right into it because there's going to be a lot to talk about here. Ben, what is your number 5?
Big change. The season premiere of this season.
Not on my list.
This is a great episode because it shows Ted is the king is at the park. There's a woman that Ted notices. He wants to meet you, but a wrinkle is passed up. A wrinkle is put in because he spots his ex-girlfriend, played by the one, Rachel Bilson, and he realizes they're there to meet each other, and he thinks, oh, they must be the roommate of her, the one that I have stuff in common with. So the whole episode is about him getting courage to talk to them. While all this is going on, Marshall and Lily decide to try to get pregnant, and they have issues with that.
Yeah, because Marshall tells his dad everything.
Oh yeah. So what do you think of this episode, Matt?
So it is a good episode. It's a great season premiere. It's just unfortunately, to me, it wasn't one of the highlights of the series. But what I do like is that we've already met Marshall's dad by this point. But as we see later on, he's a big part of this season. Pretty much his Marvin Erickson's shadow in terms of Marshall, encompasses the whole season.
there is I love the scene where Lily asked Marshall, "You didn't turn anybody at work, did you?" And he's like, "No." Cut in the office where he's getting ready to leave. In comes his secretary. "Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave, get prepared." And as he walks out, you see everyone making a big
Ah!
deal.
Oh yeah.
Can you dig it? That scene just makes me laugh every time I watch it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene. So my number 5
Yeah.
is A Change of Heart.
Okay.
Yeah. So it actually kicks off a common theme for my top 5, which is all my top 5s not only are funny, but they're also emotional episodes. So with this one, Barney is going on his second date with Nora. He still denies that it means anything, but when Nora tells him up front that she only wants to date men that have the potential of being husband material, Barney does indeed tell her that he too is looking for a serious relationship. Does he mean it, or is it all an act just to get into bed with her? Barney himself might not even be sure. Lily is pretty sure she knows what he's really feeling for Nora, but only Barney's cardiologist may be able to tell for sure. Meanwhile, Robin is thinking about getting a dog again. Marshall tells her that her want for a dog is to replace the man missing from her life, and that she really should go out and look for her next relationship. She follows Marshall's advice and picks up a guy she meets nicknamed Scooby, a fellow Canadian. But in Scooby, Robin may have gotten her original wish. Now, while that's funny, that's not the best thing about the episode. It is Barney telling. So basically, spoilers for later ahead. After somebody close to the group dies, the whole gang decides to get their tickers checked. Barney being the last one because he put it off for a long time. And basically, the point of the episode is Barney's telling about what was going on, what would explain the abnormalities in the cardiograph machine over the past 4 hours, and just happens to coincide with his second date with Nora. So basically, whenever the doctor says, "Oh, this happened," what happened here, he would tell it. And at one point, his heart really went up because I think Lily punched him in the throat. But basically, at the very end of the episode, the doctor looks at, like, she's like, you got a good ticker, but there is this one really weird thing here. There's literally no beep at this time. And when he reveals it's actually when Nora walked into the restaurant, Lily's like, holy shit, his heart skipped a beat. And revealed that he actually has feelings for her. And that's what I like about this episode, is the way they were able to tell that, yes, Barney actually has feelings.
A couple of things. One is this. I can't remember. Is this the one with the cafe at the end, or is that a different episode?
I think it is this one. I'm just going to quickly try to find a better plot summary. I think it might be this one.
The one where she wants money to meet her parents?
No, I think that's later.
Okay. Second thing, you know who plays Scoob, right?
Yeah, it's Robbie and Mel. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Firestorm.
Yeah. I don't want to say that. Okay.
Yeah, just give me a second. Yeah, it might be. It might be. Anyways, on to your number 4.
Hopeless.
That is on my honorable mention list.
Yeah. This is the one where Bonnie's dad wants to spend time with him. So they go out drinking, and what Bonnie doesn't get is his dad used to be this really rock star kind of dad, and now he has women dad. And Bonnie didn't want to hang out with a rock star. So John Lithgow, incredible John Lithgow, acts like the old guy, and they have issues.
Yes, because Barney sees it one way, where he sees the night as, yeah, they're drinking and they're ripping out parking meters, throwing up on policemen's cars, all this wild stuff. In reality, it was the ultimate magic trick on his dad's behalf because he was making it look like he was doing those things. And because Barney was really drunk, it was easy to manipulate him.
It is a great episode, and I love the beginning where Barney gives like Jake cards to give them new personalities.
Yeah.
And tell me I forgot to write what the personalities were. Maybe you could look them up.
Let's see if I can remember. Marshall is a poet.
Okay.
Robin is Ted's girlfriend.
Okay.
I can't remember what Ted or Lily is, though. Let's see if I can bring it up.
Yeah.
No,
And
my favorite part of this episode, though, is the end of it. Basically, after the dad comes home and he's sitting there, he's like, I'm going fishing with my dad because Jerry was supposed to go with his other son fishing.
yeah.
But it's sitting at the very end in an obvious green screen shot. They're just sitting there in the wilderness. Barney's in his suit. The other two are in their fishing gears. And he's like, this sucks.
It's funny because my favorite part of the episode is at the beginning. When Barney's like, yeah, this isn't true. We also have a band. And then Jake plays the intro.
Not yet. It's the first time they've altered the entrance music.
Yeah. It's a great episode. What?
Okay, let us see. What's the name of the episode again? Hopeless.
Hopeless.
Okay. Barney, blah, 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 blah. He creates alternative identities so suppress Jerry. Marshall is a playwright in an open marriage with Lily, while Robin and Ted are dating. That's really all it says on Wikipedia.
Okay.
So my number 4?
Yeah, you're number 4.
Natural history.
Yeah, I meant to put this on my honorable mentions, but I forgot. Go ahead.
Okay, so by this point, we've already been introduced to the character of Zoe, and her and Ted at this point are feuding because she wants to tear down. She wants to preserve the Arcadian. Meanwhile, Ted wants to tear it down because it's supposed to be the site for the new GMB bank, global bank building. And so, like I said, they're butting heads. Anyways, he gets invited because of his involvement with GMB. He gets invited to a gala at the Natural History Museum in New York, which I would love to go to. Only to find out, guess who's there? Zoe, with her husband, who we meet for the first time, the captain, played by none other than Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah, by Kyle MacLachlan of Twin Peaks fame.
I can't remember. Did he have an actual name?
They've never given. I don't think they've ever given his name. He's always just been the captain.
Okay.
But basically, throughout this episode, it just reveals that maybe people grow up when you don't want them to. People aren't exactly what they're seeing. We do have this little trick that Ted explains about the architecture of the building, where if you stand at one end of the atrium, and because of the arches, if you whisper something, you can hear it clearly on the other end, which plays into the very end of the episode. So in this one, Zoe has written an op-ed piece in the newspaper criticizing Ted by name, calling him and his friends fat cats. Offended by the piece, Ted feels he and his friends are definitely not fat cats, despite their all attending, courtesy of GNB, a black tie fundraiser at the National History Museum. There, Lily learns that Marshall has aspirations to be a fat cat, while she has to reconcile with her olden feelings of what she wants from her husband. Barney and Robin go on a quest to touch as many do-not-touch objects as they can in the museum. Along with a past trip by Barney to the museum, their quest has an unexpected consequence concerning Barney's life, and Ted meets one of the fundraiser's primary benefactors. He does have a name, George Van Smoot, of Van Smoot house where Lily and Marshall got married. Self-nicknamed the Captain, who happens to be Zoe's rich older husband. The interaction between the Captain, who actually likes Ted, Zoe, and Ted leads to slightly altered positions in the Ted-Zoe fight, and not just over the Arcadian. So basically, in this episode, Zoe manipulates Ted and accidentally records him calling GMB a bunch of not really nice names, just to say he could get him fired. But really, it's Marshall and Lily's storyline because Lily is very proud of the fact that Marshall will become an environmental lawyer. But over the time, Marshall has a change of heart because he realizes that by working for GMB, he can actually provide a good future with the family, which there is nothing wrong with that. That is, you're providing for your family. That's really what matters the most. Lily gets upset. She storms off and she ends up in an exhibit. And who do we see in the exhibit but none other than Marshall that she met in college? And so she obviously has a conversation with him and he says, like, look, like, there's probably a reason why I'm doing this and I can't stay like this forever. That sort of thing. Her and Marshall reconcile. And then later on, we see him, after all this is decided, yes, he's going to stick with GMB. They see him at his desk doing his paperwork. Somebody walks in, they leave, and then all of a sudden we zoom out, and it's actually that version of Marshall, corporate Marshall, in an exhibit, and it says extinct, which means which foreshadows that he doesn't always stay corporate.
Nope.
And I do like that, but also I like at the very end, even after everything that Zoe does to Ted, the manipulating, the recording behind his back, all that stuff. While he's talking to the captain, he says some really nice, from the heart things to the captain about Zoe. Unbeknownst to him, she's on the other side of that arch in the atrium, and because he's speaking it quietly, she hears everything, and that's when the relationship changes.
Well, and you have to remember what the captain was talking about. He didn't go on and on about Zoe, his wife. He went on and on about his fucking boat. Yeah.
Showing that his Zoe was not the priority in his life, and because of that, Zoe's always on these other quests trying to save stuff or, drive people crazy, which in this case was the Arcadian.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your number 3?
My number 3, get ready because I have a feeling you're going to get punted. Bad news.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's or no, actually. It's not on my list, and I will explain why later. It actually, you know what? That actually should be on my honorable mention list, but I'll explain why it's not on either later.
Okay, I wasn't expecting you to talk about this because it was going to get punted.
Don't worry. We can talk about it when we get to my number 1.
Fine. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Cleaning House. It's the second episode of this season. This is where first off revealed that Barney thinks William Zabka is the true hero of the Karate Kid. But also...
No, that was not to be revealed.
This is where he finally had a Karate Kid poster over his bed. That's right.
Yeah.
So in this episode, Barney's mother is selling their childhood home. So obviously Barney and James are there to help with the packing, and the gang tags along. While they're doing this, it's revealed that Loretta had written a letter to somebody named, where the hell's his name? Named Sam. Named Sam, saying that this is your son, but it's just a picture of the 2 boys. So it could have been either one of them. It comes out that it's James's dad, which obviously crushes Barney. And also throughout the whole episode, it is revealed that throughout their childhood, the reason why Loretta was telling him all these lies, like Bob Barker's your dad and that sort of thing, is because, well, Barney wasn't popular growing up, and she was telling him these lies to protect him, which is something very motherly thing to do, very cool thing to do. James introduces himself to Sam. Very emotional moment. Sam played by none other than the great Ben Vereen. For those who watched Collider Live, one of the stars of Zoobly Zoo, you're welcome. And James and Sam hug. Silence. The group's like, Barney's taking this very well. All of a sudden you hear Barney go, Daddy! Hugs. I mean, he's in denial the rest of the episode that this is his dad, all that stuff. Later on, he has a conversation with Loretta, who's like, look, I know, basically they reconcile the fact that she lied to him growing up and what have you. But when it dawns on him why she lied to him growing up, and she says, look, I will give you, here's your father's address, his phone number. And he just rips it up and he says, I had a great dad, and it was you, Mom. And that's the end of the episode. Now, that's also the very first time where we hear the mention of his father.
Well, I mean...
in this season.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, like things like why it's revealed why she lied to him, why nobody showed up to his birthday. I believe she even wrote him back as the postmaster general, give an explanation, just stuff like that. Like very
Very sweet.
she
Very
yeah,
sweet.
exactly very sweet. She will do anything for her boys.
Yeah. And they would do anything with her. Hence that episode, The Simpsons.
Yes, yes, exactly. Which thank God was before this. But no, it's a beautiful episode, and I love at the very end the cap scene is Ben Vereen and Wayne Brady duetting Benny King's "Stand By Me," which is a great song. And then you've got Barney constantly interjecting with the mic and the auto tune like Britney Spears trying to heart. It's fucking ridiculous.
Kind of funny, kind of funny.
Oh yeah, for somebody who is a sociopath, who's probably more fucked up than me, and I'm pretty fucked up. He's a funny character. It does beg to differ though. How I think you could get away with a character like Barney Stinson nowadays, but I don't think you can go that extreme when it comes to the womanizing.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
You can barely get away without showing these days.
right.
And that's toned down from funny. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
my
yeah,
number two. Critter.
is what?
Critter.
Oh, that's not even on my list.
Dude. And revealed
I
Robin's
told you,
mother.
all my lists are emotional. This isn't
Oh.
that. This is as emotional parts, but it's not as emotional.
Fair point. Then Hermione reveals Robin's mother like a TV character on a children's
Yeah,
educational show. And
it's a
Kevin
children's educational show which moonlights as a porn. Like, dear
called, what is it, Hyper Team? Space Teams?
it is. What the fuck? They don't even give it on the storyline on Wikipedia. What the hell?
Yeah, let me look it up.
Yeah, it's Space Teens, pretty much.
It has Robin's Monkeys and her BFF, Jessica Glitter, apparently working for Alan Thicke for some
Yeah.
reason, solving math problems. Now, in elementary, in those short plotline right now, well, Lily is going maybe crazy, driving Robin crazy. Lily is afraid Robin is going to break up with her, so she breaks up with Robin first, the gang fine, and then, yeah, make him, yeah, whatever.
Okay, so Barney has found a DVD of Robin's Canadian TV show, Space Teens, which featured Robin Sparkles and Robin's BFF on and off the show, Jessica Glitter, played by none other than Nicole Scherzinger, who was one of the Pussycat Dolls. And also was a judge, I think, on like The Voice and a bunch of those other reality TV shows. Robin considers it a children's education show about two teenage girls solving crimes in space using math. As the others watch the show, they fear that it more closely resembles porn wannabe. You have to. Explaining it does not do the justice. You guys have to watch it because it is just. Pew! Despite saying that she and Jessica were BFFs, Robin hasn't been friends with Jessica for about 5 years. Ted deduces that Robin's friendship ended when Jessica had a child, which makes Lily believe the same thing will happen to her when she and Marshall have a baby. Since Robin won't talk about it, the only other person who can tell the gang the full story is Jessica Glitter herself. Meanwhile, Ted wants to prove that unlike Robin and Jessica, he and his old friend Punchy truly are BFFs. But when Punchy unexpectedly takes Ted up on an offhanded offer, Ted's assertion is tested. Now, yes, he's tired of Punchy, but at the very end, the reason why Punchy came down is, one, he thought Ted was in a rough spot, so he wanted to check on him, but also he wanted to ask him to be the best man at his wedding. And yeah, it's basically more or less the reason why Robin and Jessica drifted apart was because of the baby. But as Robin said to Lily, like, you're family, you're my sister, there's no fucking way that's ever going to happen. Basically, is what she said. There's never going to happen.
Well, it kind of does happen.
It does, but that's future spoilers.
Okay.
I feel like that entire episode that we're foreshadowing about might be its own episode on its own. because there's so much to talk about in that episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Tell me okay.
My number 2 is Legend Daddy.
Great one.
This is the introduction of John Lithgow as Jerry, Barney's biological father, who he'd always known as Uncle Jerry, basically the one that took him to the museum where he destroyed the whale. This is hands down, in my opinion, Neil Patrick Harris's best acting, some of his best acting in the show. Because in this one, Jerry's biological father, Jerry, actually and surprisingly responds to Barney's letter in person. Barney and Jerry...
You okay?
I think they put the wrong plot synopsis. Yeah, they put the wrong storyline on here. Hold on. They put the wrong summary on IMDb. Whoops.
Man, IMDb sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, here we go. This is Wikipedia. So the gang goes to the house that Ted bought a year ago, where they hold an intervention for Barney for his behavior. A few days before the intervention, the gang attempts to watch TV in Barney's apartment, and they learn that Barney does not know how to use tools, so he has called the repairman to fix the TV. However, instead of the repairman, Barney is greeted at the door by Jerome Jerry Whitaker, Barney's father, who has received his letter. Later, Barney relates to the gang his meeting with Jerry, claiming he is a tour manager who loves scotch, suits, and loose women as much as he does. However, Jerry reveals that he is actually a driving instructor with a normal suburban life. During the actual meeting with Barney, Jerry attempted to impress him, but failed miserably. The gang reveals that Barney's intervention is about seeing his father, who lives in the same area as Ted's house. Barney reluctantly agrees to have dinner with Jerry's family and meets Jerry's wife, Cheryl, and his son, JJ. Barney acts antagonistically towards JJ until he learns that JJ stands for Jerome Jr. Upset, Barney abruptly leaves, and Jerry falls into the garage where Barney is attempting to steal the basketball hoop attached to it. When Barney expresses his resentment that Jerry is nothing more than some lame suburban dad, Jerry asks why this upsets him, and this line right here in his delivery, because he's angry, he says, "Why couldn't you be that to me?" It's like, woof. Barney admits that he is still hurt that Jerry had never been the responsible father that he needed in his childhood. Jerry apologizes for abandoning Barney and helps him remove the hoop while teaching him how to use a screwdriver. Barney goes back to Ted's house with the group and gives the hoop to Ted. And this is another gut-punching scene because earlier in the episode, at one point, I don't know if you remember, earlier in this episode, yeah, it was earlier in this episode where they're talking about how once they move here, I'm going to put a basketball hoop in the backyard for the kids to play basketball. Well, they arrive back to Ted's house, and Barney gives the hoop to Ted, urging him to save it for his future kids, choking up as I'm about to, saying, "A kid needs a hoop." Yeah. So that's the big part of the episode. Now, the B storyline. Meanwhile, the gang begins to note all the things that each of them never learned. Robin points out that until his class pointed it out, Ted used to think that the word chameleon was pronounced chameleon. Ted points out that Robin was unaware that North Pole is a real place. To a marine biologist she was dating told her he was going there, and she thought he was making it up. Later, it was revealed how she does not know that reindeer are real, despite being Canadian, where reindeer are found practically everywhere. Yeah. Or that Jack Kennedy and John F. Kennedy are the same person. Ted also points out Lily's bad throwing skills. Marshall is the only one whom the gang does not mention, and he eventually asks the gang to pick on him. He reveals that he is aware that the gang has been careful around him since his father died, and says that he just wants to feel normal again. The group does resume picking on Marshall, mocking his inability to wink or swallow pills, his tendency to add too much water to his oatmeal, how he always misses one belt loop, and how he's too old to ask to see the cockpit on planes. Marshall thanks them, grateful to be treated like an equal again. But really, it is Barney and his dad, and it is that scene with the basketball hoop where Barney finally lets them all go. It's just like, why couldn't you be that to me? Which right there just sums Barney, all his problems. All the girls, he always says that the best girls have daddy issues, when really it's him who has daddy issues.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is Neil Patrick Harris's best acting. But he has another moment that I'm going to talk about, another one, number one, where it's subtle acting that almost eclipsed this. It might even eclipse this. You'll get it when I mention it.
Yeah, you have to.
Don't worry, I will, because it's a great episode.
Okay.
What is your honorable mentions?
Oh, honey.
Yep.
The perfect cocktail.
Nope.
And exploding meatball sandwich.
Nope. So my honorable mentions are Hopeless, Landmarks, Oh Honey, and Challenge Accepted. So what is your number one?
Thanksgiving.
Of course it is. It's a good episode, but I don't think it was good. If I had a fifth honorable mention, it would have been number 5.
I think you went after the emotional moments. I just went after the stuff that made me laugh.
Oh, yes, and this is a funny fucking episode. Oh, man.
Man. So, the king celebrates Thanksgiving the night before, and then Ted has to leave early to get ready because he's making a. How do you say it?
Turkey.
When a turkey snuff, and not another turkey.
Yeah, it's almost like a turducken, but with 2 turkeys. Ugh.
So he leaves and got to the next morning where everybody is in the apartment waking up with a hangover because they had the best night ever while Ted was sleeping. So they make fun of him because now he's the prince.
Yep.
Now, prince meaning somebody who always missed all the great stuff because they went early, they left early. And everything epic happens. But also during the night before, the king is joined by Zoe,
The gentleman.
The gentleman. Who made his way into the king, becoming one of the king's friends.
Much to Ted's chagrin.
Much to so they realize after numerous attempts, they have to celebrate Thanksgiving over at Zoe's place. So they all end up at Zoe's until something pisses her off, kicks everybody out, and as they were heading back to wherever, I forget where they ended up.
I can't remember where they were going, but that's not important.
Ted realizes Zoe has no one to spend Thanksgiving with, so they all end up back at Zoe's. They realize Zoe stepped on her somewhere else. And where is the captain at this point?
He's spending. Okay, so basically what happened was this was supposed to be Zoe's first Thanksgiving, spending time with the stepdaughter, but at the last moment, the stepdaughter said no. So she had that little stuffed turkey. But what really pissed her off was when Ted, pissed off of the whole situation, because at this point he's antagonistic towards Zoe, he says, "You are nothing but an evil stepmother." And that's when she kicks them out. And then in the car, Ted pieces everything together, and he's just like, she didn't want to spend time with you, did she? Yeah. So it does have a good emotional part of the episode. Really does.
And this episode has one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. This episode combines 3 of my favorite shows in one 5-second scene. The king, when he sent a random picture of strangers, they need random numbers, so they go out. Does anybody have any random numbers? And you have the prince, played by Jorge Rodriguez or something? Who played Julio Logs, who shouts out the numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 22. We hear all the numbers from Logs. And he said that to Zoe, who is played by Jennifer Morrison, who is Emma on Once Upon a Time. We have Once Upon a Time means Lost, means How I Met Your Mother in one glorious 5-second thing.
And if you know Lost, it's a good payoff.
Oh my god!
And his name is Jorge Garcia. So right ethnicity, wrong name.
Please don't catch me into that.
Yeah, you're not gonna, hey Ben, you're not gonna get canceled because you will still have a voice. Death is the ultimate cancellation. Okay, my number one. We'll start off with what yours from earlier, which was Bad News.
Bad News.
So go for it.
I mean, okay. You know what? You didn't combine both episodes.
Okay, so basically what I did was I combined this and my actual number one, which is the follow-up episode, Last Words. But the reason why I combined the two, they're technically not two-parters, but it is the very last scene of Bad News. Like, don't get me wrong, the whole episode was good. I love the idea of how everything's counting down until something big happens. We know at this point that Marshall and Lily are trying to have a baby. It's told that they're not pregnant yet. Okay, so at the very end of the episode, Marshall goes outside to tell his dad something. Can't remember exactly what it was. I think it had something to do with the baby.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was something to do with that. Anyways,
yeah.
He goes outside to call his dad. And you see a number one on the cabin. This is when you know the big thing's going to happen. Now, originally in the script that Lily was supposed to come out of the cab crying and say, "I'm pregnant." However, they revealed the true last scene to her, to Allison Hannigan at the very end, which is Marshall goes outside to call his dad. He's calling. All you see is his office or his shop with the phone there ringing. Now, Marshall's dad always picked up the phone. Lily shows up. She gets out of the cab and she is wrecked.
You're making me emotional.
Dude, you should see the goosebumps on my end.
Yeah.
She gets out, just completely wrecked, emotional, and Marshall's like, "What is it?" And she says, "Sweetie, I got some bad news. Your dad had a heart attack and he didn't make it." And the following reaction was 100% Jason Segel in the moment. And he even ad-libbed the line, "I'm not ready for this." And that's how the episode ends. Now we're into my true number one, which is the follow-up episode Last Words, where the gang go to St. Cloud, Minnesota to support Marshall, and obviously this trying time because his dad was his hero, his idol, his best friend. And throughout the whole episode, they're trying to find ways to help everybody feel better. Robin is the what do you call it? The cigarette shop of the group. Like, she's literally got everything in her purse to help everybody. She ends up getting like a 16-year-old drunk by accident because honestly, that girl looked like she was 25.
That'd be fair here. She probably was 25.
Oh, probably. Jesus. Ted and Barney, their goal is to try to make Marshall laugh because obviously he's so focused on everything going on. So they're showing him videos of people getting hit in the nuts, and at one point Barney actually does punch Ted in the nuts. And Lily's job is to try to get Marshall's mom to eat, to sleep, because literally she's been more focused on taking care of the family than she has actually dealing with her grief and taking care of herself. And so Lily's trying to help alleviate all this, and then all of a sudden his mom just goes off on her and starts yelling at her, and then she's like, "God, I'm hungry," and she starts eating for the first time. And Lily's like, "Oh, that's my thing. I'm gonna piss her off," pretty much. But also, they're talking about what they're going to say at the service, and they're going to talk about the last words that Marvin had said to everybody. And obviously, his mom's got a very emotional story about being held in his arms, kissing, sort of thing. His two brothers have their stories about one of them has, taking the grandson ice skating, that sort of thing. I can't remember what the other brother was, but Marshall gets upset and he runs outside and he's just like, "My dad's last words to me were, what was it? Don't forget to rent Crocodile Dundee 3. Something along those lines. It was like watch Crocodile Dundee 3. And he's upset that everybody has all these moments with like his father, and then he's got watch Crocodile Dundee 3. And earlier in the episode, he asked Robin, "Do you have a charger in that bag? Because I forgot mine at home and there's no juice." Phone's charged. What does he find? Finds a message from Marvin. Turns out Marvin accidentally pocket dialed him. He's pissed off. He's going against the world. He's like, "Why the fuck did you have to take this man for me? All this stuff." Everybody's all torn up. He's the whole time he's letting the message play, and all of a sudden you hear Marvin's voice going, "Marshall." I just want to thank. I'm not going to say the exact words because I don't know the exact words, but basically he says, "Your mom and I had a very good time visiting you this weekend, and I just want to say I love you." Mm-hmm. Now, this is where I say that Barney Stinson is somebody you should watch during this moment. Because he's having this, Marshall's freaking the fuck out, but if you watch Barney in the background, he looks like his world is ripped apart. Because this is the moment where he realizes, I need to call my dad. Like, I've never seen anyone with so much pain on their face without saying a word.
I have to go and see this scene again because I didn't notice that.
Barney. Like, he's just, out of all of them, he's obviously besides Marshall, he's the most torn about this because he realizes, like, my best friend just lost his dad. I can still talk to my dad. And this is where he calls him mom and says, I want to call my dad. But anyways, Marshall gets this message. He's like, my dad really came through for me this one time. Again. They go into the thing. Marshall's up to the eulogy. You know what he says? My dad's last words to me was, watch Crocodile Dundee 3. Oh. And then he reveals at the end that basically that moment was just for us. Nobody else. And that's my favorite episode of the season because it is the most emotional episode of the whole season. Start to finish. All these other episodes had like these moments. You had, why weren't you that for me with Barney and his dad? But it's this. Marshall dealing with the biggest loss of his life, which he still feels throughout the rest of the series. To the point where he names his first child Marvin. Yeah. This is why it's my favorite episode of the series. And it honestly is, I'm going to say this right now, this is my number 2 favorite episode of the whole series.
I mean, okay, I know your number 1.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and let's not forget Robin accidentally gives Lily Adderall. Yeah. 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 It's quite the emotional episode. And of course, at the very end, like everybody calls their dad saying, I love you. And this is when Barney's like, Mom, I want to talk to my dad.
Yeah. Beautiful episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that, is there anything else you want to bring up about season 6?
Like I said earlier, this was the true peak of this is where the series, I think, hit its apex. And while there was good stuff after this, it slowly started to go down, but not by much.
We should talk about the way how we turned up a character early in the season. A guy that had a certain problem when he gets excited.
Is that this season?
Yeah, I think so. And that meant at the Halloween party?
No, I think this is season afterwards. Because the GMB office has already been built.
No, I'm pretty sure it was this season. Because the episode Robert does a commercial. Everybody thought...
Oh, yeah, okay, it was. It was.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just bringing it up on IMDb. Fuck, he did a lot of stuff.
What?
Canning Randy is the episode. Yes, you're right. Season 6, episode 7. Yep. The introduction of Warmpus beer.
And the return of
Will
Will
Forte as
Forte.
Randy, one of the best supporting characters in the show. Basically, this one, he's trying everything he can to get fired.
And I'm pretty sure this is his last appearance,
It
right?
is. Yeah, he only did the 2 appearances. He's
He should.
appeared a few times, but this was his last appearance. Yeah.
Oh, dang it. He, without spoiling, he should have been in the Carrie Feldman episode at the end.
Yeah. And like future spoilers, but you're right. He would have been one of the good ones to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe they reached out to him in the scheduling conflicts because he's a busy actor.
And we should also say this season, the old Honey episode featured a one Miss Katy Perry.
And at that point in time, if I'm not mistaken, it was not long after she made it big with I Kissed a Girl.
Right.
Would have been around that time, yeah.
Yeah, he went out.
Yeah, 2010. Oh, no, she'd already been 2010. I think is when Teenage Dream had come out. So yeah, she'd already hit it big by that point.
Was it her or was it Zoe Deschanel that was married to Russell Brand?
Oh, it's Katy Perry.
Okay.
Right now, she's engaged to Orlando Bloom and has had his child.
Good for them.
Oh, for sure. And paparazzi pictures revealed way more of Orlando Bloom than I ever wanted to see.
Yeah. What?
All I can say is she's lucky. Okay. So what do we have to look forward to in season 7?
Well, we have a certain, I will say, we have a certain actor that makes an appearance that if we really know what this actor was famous for, we might not have Neil Patrick Harris back as Bonnie, if you catch my drift. We have a special footwear tire accessory that comes into play.
Yeah, which I have hinted a few times that I do own.
We have an additional. We might see 1 or 2 more slaps.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
We see a big character. We see a big reveal about Robin.
Yeah.
We have the introduction of one of my favorite Canadian actors.
Have to take me off screen.
Or I could tell you now, he plays a fucking environmental lawyer.
Oh, right.
Yeah. We also have, spoilers, Lily and Marshall are having a baby. So we have that.
We have a tradition that comes up every 3 years.
We do. We also have a heartbreaking Barney moment again.
Yes, probably one of the top 3.
That is a tough episode to watch for how it ends. And I'm not saying like it's bad. I'm saying just because of you feel bad for Barney.
Well,
to a degree.
Having said that, we also have a heartbreaking Robin moment.
Yes, we do. Which is part of the episode where we feel a big character thing about Robin.
Yeah.
You have Lady Marshall moving to Long Island and the gang having to deal with that.
We have a season. Oh, we should talk about in season 6. We see the last doppelganger.
That is right. Yes, we do finally see the last doppelganger.
And introducing.
Yep. It's basically Neil Patrick Harris as a gynecologist. Lily's gynecologist.
And Lily had to have Bunny in the room.
In the room, yeah. In the room, yeah. Which I don't, you know what? I don't blame her. After all the shit Barney's done, I don't blame her. And at this point, we also do see the return of Ted's fucking bifocals from that Super Bowl episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, In season 7, we see another doppelganger make a return.
Yes, we do.
Episode.
Yeah, in the episode 46 minutes.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh yeah, we find out who the bride and groom are from the bookends.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We see famous musician that might look familiar from another.
Which I realized why I forgot. Why I realized why I didn't recognize him is because he does look different
Where is the hair?
it's the hair. Yeah.
Yeah, and the hair.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of two kind of mini crossovers between Saved by the Bell and How I Met Your Mother. We'll get to the second one in season 8.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay. So on that note, Ben, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at BenRaider2 on Twitter. You can find me every Thursday with Matt here on Shooting the Breeze. Every Friday on this with Capping the Past. Every Saturday on Mount Schmodown, my Schmodown show. On Sundays on Ben's Hot Takes. I think that's it, right? Every Saturday on Get Ready, or flagship show on Video Ready Network.
And you can find me on the stuff that Ben's already mentioned. You can also find me at soda_the_Saxman on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me over on the other channel, which Ben now has recently joined with, Mount Schmodown, Schmoes of the North, where we break down, where every one Friday night we go live after either the pay-per-view or the final match to break down the week. We do also, we hasn't dropped an episode in a while, but we also do interview people from within and the Schmodown community. So definitely always look for those. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and we will see you next week for season 7 of How I Met Your Mother. And don't forget, everybody, smash cancer and stay sweaty.
Stay sweaty.
Lawyered.
Oh man.